let's get to Curtis Ellis. Curtis Ellis, Senior Policy Advisor with America First. And Curtis Ellis has been really on top of this. Him and Steve Bannon have been at the forefront of this for some time. Curtis, I'm going to start with this hysteria on the left. And the Democrats, I got two issues of hysteria. The first is they're absolutely beside themselves in Trump calling it the Chinese virus.
Yeah, they refuse to accept reality. They're swallowing the Chinese propaganda line. The Chinese Communist Party's propaganda department is pushing two lines. First of all, they want to avoid blame. The Chinese Communist Party is in a fight for its survival. They know that this plague that they've unleashed on the world has laid bare the fallacies, the flaws, the absolute disaster of globalization. Globalization has served China. The globalized economy works for China. It does not work for America. Americans can now see clearly how we can't produce anything. We can't make face masks. We can't make surgical gowns. The surgical gowns don't even have buttons on them. We can't make those. I mean, geez, it's all made in China. And everything. You and I have been talking about this for decades, but now it's clear to everybody, and they want to and Americans want to get out of China. They say, we want our jobs back, and now, damn it, we need them back. So China is seeing a rush for the exits. They've got to avoid blame for this plague, so they're trying to shift the narrative. And they're desperate to shift the narrative. And one thing they do is they say racism. Don't call it. That's why they got the World Health Organization to call this thing COVID-19, which sounds like a rapper. It sounds like wasn't he with Run DMC for a while? I don't know. So this is just insane, and the Democrats are swallowing it. The Democrats and the left-wing media are swallowing this. Woke is broke, baby. Even the Bernie Sanders people we met when we were out there in Iowa, they don't buy into this identity politics. But the media does, so they're all going crazy. Anything to call Trump a racist is all they know how to do. And even if it means aligning with the Chinese Communist Party's propaganda department, they'll do it. So, I mean, that's just nuts. Look, we have the West Nile virus, we have the Zika virus, the Ebola virus, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Lyme disease. I don't have any of those, by the way, but I mean, as America, we've been talking about this stuff forever. You always name the virus after where it first emerges.
It's asinine. I mean, come on. And now the Democrats want to do a press conference. Here, the country is melting down. People are concerned about how they're going to feed their children. Everybody's out of school. Gavin Newsom just shut the state of California down, and these half-wits in Congress want to waste time by doing a press conference because they're upset because Trump calls it the Chinese virus.
I say go ahead. Please
go ahead. Have your press conference, you morons.
Exactly. Please idiots. Show yourself for the idiots you are. You think the average person sitting out there in America is like, oh, my God, let's see, what am I more worried about?
Unbelievable.
I don't have a job. My grandmother, I can't visit her in the nursing home, and she might catch this horrible disease and die a painful death, or the linguistic deconstruction of the language of medical propriety. It's like, okay, got it.
The leaders of the House now understand that Schumer is a complete doddering fool. They're they don't want anything to do with him. You saw Ilhan Omar last night, which is the leader of the squad along with AOC, putting out a lauding statement complimenting the president, saying his leadership has been phenomenal. Then the one in Massachusetts doubled down. Look, they want to stay in power. They know Chuck Schumer's making a fool of himself. They don't want anything to do with him.
I'll tell you, when Ilhan Omar put that statement out, when Ilhan Omar put that statement out, it made me wonder. It's like, maybe President Trump's doing the wrong thing if he's got Ilhan Omar praising him.
I know, it's about power. They think, okay, Trump's going to get reelected. Schumer he's not even going to be the minority leader. He's such an idiot. Forget him. So they're like, how do we stay in power? How do we get back in office? how do we maintain a majority? We got to get on the same page with this guy because he is going to win. Okay, couple of things here.
Yeah.
Let me read a text here from Corey in Williamsburg. Says, I love Curtis. Shutting the USA down. This is crazy. We should watch Mexico. They're not shutting down. What say you?
Mexico, they're probably doing overtime there, producing drugs to sell to our millennials at spring break. This is their boom time. It's like Christmas time, Black Monday, Black Friday for the gift business, the holiday business, the retailers. So I say that we have to be. I think that President Trump had no choice to. Look, I'm very concerned about overreaction. I think some of this stuff is gone maybe too far. For example, for colleges to shut down their classes, one thing. To shut down the dorms is really stupid. Mm-hmm. Where are these kids going to go? Mm-hmm. For the most part, they're going to go home to their parents. What we want to do is we want to separate the young people from the old people. They should probably they keep the kids in the dorms and put up the National Guard around the campus. Keep them, keep them there. Put National Guard around the nursing homes. Keep people out. We want to separate the old people from the young people so that the young people who are asymptomatic carriers of this disease don't give it to the old people who will get sick and die if they catch it. And so I'm very worried about overreaction. I think everybody's trying to outdo each other with this nuttiness. Shutting down the economy, this is not how we've approached things in the past. As you said, even World War II, we didn't shut down the economy. You can't. However, the hysteria that the mass media has generated required the president to take some action. And let's be honest here. On a public health front, we have to slow the spread of this virus.
Right.
We don't know how lethal it is, as your previous caller said. That is a true fact. We don't know how lethal it is. One death is one death too many, and until we know more, we have to slow the spread of this. So some of these actions are absolutely necessary. But let's be careful here, and let's make sure there are still businesses left for people with jobs to go back to.
That's the concern here, is the hysteria and overreaction. And I have predicted this for weeks. I said every governor and mayor was going to try to one-up each other. It started with DeWine in Ohio, who's a complete twit. It started with him shutting down the primary, whatever the hell he did. Now it's gone to the guy in Hoboken who put a curfew in. You can't go out after 6 o'clock. If you do, he's going to lock you up. I mean, this thing is ridiculous. And now you got the guy in California who's going to one-up everybody and say, my state is shut down. Shut it all down. Unbelievable. All right, we're with Curtis Ellis. Curtis is Senior Policy Advisor for America First Policies. That is the #1 political action committee for the president. And Curtis Ellis with us now. Curtis, go ahead.
Yeah, so the virus has done what all of the boneheaded government policies of California couldn't do: shut the state down. I long ago recommended shutting California down because they have so many bad ideas, but no, that's just
it's ridiculous.
Snarky.
All right, I want to get to. I got a couple of cuts here. I want to get your take on. We're running out of time. Let's get to cut two here. Senator Lindsey Graham yesterday just going absolutely ballistic, like me, over the fact that wealthy Chinese can now buy visas and get into the country. This is insane. Cut two.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I haven't talked to anybody on the planet, much less the Trump administration, about putting EB-5 on the coronavirus bill. This is not the time or the place. The president supports the program. I do, too. We're not going to put a damn thing on this bill that doesn't protect you and your family from the virus and doesn't give you money that you desperately need.
So Politico Magazine's report is an outright falsehood.
I don't think it's Politico. I think it's another, it's absolute garbage. I haven't talked to anybody. I would object to putting anything on these bills that are not related to solving the problem. What's the problem? People have lost their job because of our containment policies that we need, and we're also speeding up bombing, starving, and killing the virus.
All right. Unbelievable. Curtis, your thoughts on that?
Look, this country, this city of Washington, D.C., has been thoroughly bought by the Chinese Communist Party. The idea that we would sell visas to the highest bidder is just shocking. I always... And I wonder about Lindsey Graham. Tucker Carlson called him out, saying that Lindsey was actually pushing for more of these Chinese visas for sale, and Lindsey had to say, no, he's not. Everybody is now trying to push their favorite agenda. You hear these people saying, we should lift tariffs on China because of the virus. No, that's the exact wrong thing to do. We have targeted, the U.S. Trade Representative has lifted the tariffs on medical equipment, yes, but the U.S. Chamber of Commerce says we should lift all the tariffs on China.
Well, sure. Now, this is the way for them to, to get the slave labor dollars back and make more money on Goldman Sachs, who's all those people in the bankster realm right now, Curtis. They've all sold these stocks short. All these people in the hysteria, they've all made hundreds of millions of dollars in selling all this stuff short, like Richard Burr. I mean, how does he even explain this?
Yeah, well, he says he heard that the hotels had bed bugs, and that's why he sold the stock. That's ridiculous. This guy, he's on this intelligence committee. He's the nominal chair of the committee, but he actually lets Senator Warner, the ranking Democrat, run that committee.
Warner runs it.
Burr is a tool. Warner runs that committee. Burr is too busy trying to do insider trading on the information he gets. I'd like to see an entire record of his stock holdings. Maybe he gets a briefing on drones and he buys drone stocks. He gets a briefing on the coronavirus. He sells hotel stocks and his Boeing stock. I mean, this guy's crooked as a dog's hind leg, it seems. It's disgusting. This is business as usual in Washington. This is the same as Hunter Biden getting money from the Chinese.
Well,
it's the same deal.
Let's go. We're with Curtis Ellis, Senior Policy Advisor, America First Policy. Also, the author of the Curtis Minute. All right, let's get to cut 7. I got to get your take here. Here's Susan Rice. Remember Susan Rice? She's the one that came on 7 TV stations after Benghazi and lied through her teeth. Same one. Here's Susan Rice saying that Trump's a racist because he says it's the Chinese virus.
They were able to create tests that we have been extremely slow to produce here in the United States in sufficient quantities. So there's a lot of blame to be placed on China in terms of how it handled its processes internally, how they treated their people, how they suppressed information, and certainly China is not behaving well in trying to blame this on the United States.
Yeah.
But the flip side of it is we are not behaving well when we talk about, as the president does every day, the Chinese virus, the Wuhan flu, and all of these racist descriptions. The fact of the matter is that viruses don't know borders. They don't respect borders. In 2009, the swine flu pandemic that swept the world, that was extremely deadly in terms of lives ultimately lost, originated in North America. So we need to get out of the business of blaming people for where viruses arise, which can arise anywhere on the planet, and get into the business of working together to defeat them.
This is the globalist claptrap that got us into the mess we're in. Viruses don't know borders. See, this is their guiding star is a borderless world where we don't have nations and we swear allegiance to globalism. We swear allegiance to, we're all going to work together. China is not interested in working together. They have swallowed the other big lie of the Chinese Communist Party propaganda machine. China wants to take over the world, not to run it on behalf of the world, but to run it for the interests of the few people sitting atop the pyramid of the Chinese Communist Party. Mm-hmm. Their line is globalism for you, nationalism for us. Mm-hmm. China is the most racist country on earth. Mm-hmm. They believe in the superiority of the Han Chinese people. Mm-hmm. They've locked up the ethnic Turks in the eastern part of the country, 2 million of them. They don't believe in Christianity. They destroy churches because they say it's a Western cult. This is it's a horrible regime, folks. And how do they get the Western idiots like Susan Rice to go along with it and to become useful idiots? It's by pushing this globalism nonsense. They've taken over the World Trade Organization, the World Health Organization, the entire post-war international rules-based order that we set up after World War II that was supposed to promote peace, and promote non-violent resolution of conflicts. They've taken that over, hijacked it, and repurposed it to advance the interests of the Chinese Communist Party, not the International Communist Party, not the international rules-based order, but the Chinese order. They want to be the superior power on earth so they can dictate to the rest of the world what to do. And these people like Susan Rice talking about, we all have to work. China wasn't interested in working together when they kept the CDC out. They weren't interested in working together when they covered up the outbreak. What kind of country arrests doctors for telling you you've got a disease? You know, I mean, that's not working together. Hello?
Unbelievable. Curtis Ellis, we're out of time. I want to thank you for that analysis. You can tune into the John Fredericks Radio Network 24/7, 365. Guess what you hear multiple times a day? You get to hear the Curtis Ellis Minute. That's coming up in a few moments. Curtis Ellis Minute and Curtis Ellis. And for more information, you can go to the AmericanJobsAlliance.com.